Hey, Falcons fans, NFL fans, welcome to another episode of NFL Jocks and Pigskins on Atlanta Sports Unlimited channel. I'm your host, Dave Holcomb, with Tom Pollen, Chris Smitherman, our producer behind the scenes. Got another great show for you today. Week 4 in the NFL started Thursday night with the Jaguars and Bengals. We'll talk a little bit about that game. Mostly, I think, some of Urban Meyer's reaction from the game, also his decision before halftime to try and go for that touchdown at the 1-yard line. I want to talk about that and Trevor Lawrence's play. We're going to talk a lot of rookie quarterbacks today, how they've done through the first 3 weeks. And, of course, we're going to preview the Falcons hosting. Finally, they get a home game again, and they'll be hosting the Washington football team. Who Day? That's our producer, Chris, behind the scenes. Yeah, Bengals 3-1 and won their last 2 games.
You mentioned Trevor. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence, so I said it was close, but we came through.
Yeah. Good second half.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it looked like Zach Taylor might have just pounded his team and woke him up somehow at halftime, because that was a different Bengals team in the second half than what showed up in the first half.
I think Urban Meyer's decision and then them failing to convert on fourth down, it wasn't just a decision. They also had bad execution on that play.
Yeah. Not
scoring also woke up the Bengals up maybe a little bit, made them feel a little bit better about themselves at halftime and got them woken up a little bit. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to lead with the Falcons, talk about their offense. They did win last week, beating the Giants 17-14, but you and I were talking a little bit before the show, and we're still disappointed in this offense. We still want to see more from I know it's not Arthur Smith's offense. He lectured the media once while I was there that it's not his offense, but we were expecting more from Arthur Smith and this new playbook, this new scheme. We were expecting a lot from Kyle Pitts as the number 4 overall pick. You're expecting a lot from Calvin Ridley because you had the expectation that he was going to replace Julio Jones. Mike Davis was an upgrade over Todd Gurley, and Russell Gage and Olamide Zaccheaus are supposed to just move up in line because they had such a great receiving core, even with losing Julio Jones. A lot of those things are not true through the first 3 weeks.
No, they're not. It's been terrible, and I can understand why Arthur Smith does not want to put his name on this offense. I mean, yeah, no, I'm sure Arthur Smith is saying, no, this isn't my offense. Are you kidding? I was looking at some stats throughout the week. It's just amazing how terrible this offense is running. Because one of the things we discussed earlier is Cordero Patterson is leading the team in yards from scrimmage. It just can't happen.
Yeah. And Patterson's off to a great start. It's been a great pickup, great free agency ad, and he's added a lot. He's been dynamic, but he's supposed to add to what you already have.
Right.
He's not supposed to be your leading guy from scrimmage.
No, he's not supposed to be the guy you're counting on. Right. He's supposed to be the little accent to what you're doing.
Yes.
But you can't do what you're doing. As I said, I looked through the stats. And on Pro Football Reference, you get some advanced stats that you can look at. Everybody's getting into advanced stats these days. But I think some of these say a little bit about where the Falcons are going wrong. Okay, you got what they call intended air yards per pass attempt. Okay. Basically, how far the ball travels past the line of scrimmage to your receiver, whether or not he catches the ball.
Is that the same as air yards?
Yeah, pretty much. I think air yards per completion, then you got. But the Falcons are last in the league, 4.3 yards per pass attempt.
Huh. Yeah. They're last in terms of depth of target, in terms of. Okay, yeah.
Wow. How do you. 4.3 yards. You're barely getting the ball past the line of scrimmage.
Who else is at the bottom of that list?
Let me take a look here.
Who's at the bottom 5?
The bottom 5.
I'd imagine our teams are down there too. The Steelers, the Bears. I'm kind of curious if they are.
Let's see. Yards per.
While Tom is looking for that, I want to remind our listeners, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of great Atlanta sports content. Braves clinched their division. They're NL East champs again, despite a rough first half to the season, and then losing Acuna. I think everybody counted them out after that, but Freddie Freeman and company rallied and got it done, winning the division again. And I think they're automatically playing the Milwaukee Brewers in the first round. I believe that starts next Friday.
Yeah. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
Brewers during their celebration, I forget the name, one of their starting pitchers kind of broke his hand. He threw a punch into the wall and broke his hand. So he's going to be out for the next.
That happens all the time. When are we going to stop, celebrating just division wins or teams celebrate making the playoffs? Not even a division win now.
I know. It's right. Exactly. I mean, act like you've been there before, but again, I think the movie Bull Durham needs to be shown to these guys every spring training. You don't hit with your pitching hand.
Right.
You don't punch with your pitching hand.
Right. Yeah.
Come on.
It's true.
Very
true.
Yeah, it's one of those timeless lines by Crash Davis. You just can't say it.
Great movie. Fantastic movie. So the Braves in the playoffs, we're both excited about that. And check out our Braves content on our channel and all our sports content. The Georgia Bulldogs just kicked off a few minutes ago, and we have Georgia content on the channel as well. Big game for the Bulldogs today.
Yeah, Arkansas. So let's see how they come out today. They're serious contenders this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out for Georgia.
Absolutely. It's really, really fun time for Georgia sports. And give us a like on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Atlanta Sports Unlimited. Follow Tom on Twitter at TJ Pollen. Follow me, DM Holcomb on Twitter. You got those bottom 5 teams pulled up now?
Yeah. The Falcons are last, 4.3. The Bears are second to last at 5.3. That's a full yard above, per attempt where the Falcons are.
So the Falcons are they're way behind everybody.
Way behind everybody.
Yeah.
Lions 5.7, 49ers 5.7. They're down there. And the Vikings are 5.8. So a couple of surprise teams down there, but it's you got the Ravens that are 11.7 yards per attempt. Seattle Seahawks 9.6, Packers 10, Broncos 9.5 with Teddy Bridgewater.
Wow.
I mean, and this, and these are teams that are also winning.
Yeah.
So,
those bottom teams you mentioned, they're not winning.
They're not winning. They're struggling.
Yeah.
You can't win if you don't get the ball downfield, and it's just
or at least try to get downfield.
Yeah. Average air yards per completion. Lions 3.3, Falcons 3.4, Eagles 4.3, Bears 4.4, Steelers 4.4. Everybody who's struggling is down at the bottom of that list.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that, and I know the thing is, I know they lost Julio Jones, but losing Julio Jones doesn't mean you stop going downfield at all. But I was watching rewatching some of the Falcons game, and it looks like nobody's going deep. Nobody is trying to get any kind of penetration. Every pass is going into the second line of defense. You're getting balls in front of the linebackers, and the linebackers, safeties close in. You're not getting any yardage. I don't see why they don't try and stretch a little bit. I know the offensive line hasn't been good, but my God, you've got to try to get the ball downfield at some point. I mean, that's what Zacchaeus is supposed to be good for.
Right.
Is stretching a defense, but Zacchaeus is running short routes. That's not his game. That's not why he's here. And I don't get that. I don't know what Arthur Smith is doing with his offense, because I know it was more of a 2 tight end running back type of offense in Tennessee, but Tannehill still stretched the defense at times. I mean,
He did.
hell,
Yes, he
you
did.
had A.G. Brown. You
Right.
So you had a receiver who was capable of it, and it's not like Smith doesn't have these plays in his offense, but I don't see why he's not doing anything. Why he's turned this Falcons offense into such a pop gun offense. I mean, they're not doing anything. I don't get it.
Marcel Smith says Smith is making him, I think he means Matt Ryan, a better game manager. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to turn. Look, I don't think game manager should be as negative a tag as people make it out to be. Quarterbacks are supposed to manage the game. However, Matt Ryan is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Why would you want to turn him into a, quote unquote game manager? I mean, you want him to throw it downfield. He's done it 14 seasons. There's no reason you didn't need to make major changes to how Matt Ryan plays quarterback. So from what I'm hearing from you, Tom, is that you think Arthur Smith and the play calling and the scheme is the biggest issue. I know last week with Mad Mike, you talked about Calvin Ridley. Is he truly a number one wide receiver? And I feel that way too. I really do.
That's part of the problem too. Yeah.
Okay.
That is part of the problem. But from what I've been seeing, they're not even making the attempt to get anything downfield. They're not making the attempt to get through the second level with their receivers. Get something intermediate, 10 to 15 yards. It really isn't there. And I don't know if it's just because receivers aren't open. Receivers may not be open because you've got them in too tight of a range.
Right. If the opposing defense doesn't think you're going to go deep, then I mean everybody's real crowded towards the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of. I would have tried to again look this up on the All-22 tape, except the NFL just completely destroyed All-22. I mean, it's not coach's tape anymore. You don't get to see All-22. You might as well watch the condensed game. So.
So they have all 20. I've been
all 22
away
is up, but you don't see all 22.
So what is it now?
You get either the end zone or sideline view, but you're still only basically getting the line of scrimmage and a few yards beyond.
So you don't get all the player. You don't get the whole field.
Don't get the whole field. You don't get to watch everything that's happening on the field. And apparently, this is what they're calling all 22, and it's pathetic. And it's a ripoff for $100 a year. $100 for a Game Pass subscription for that crap. Garbage. All right, that's my rant against the NFL.
Well, I want to rant against the NFL too, if you don't mind, because with that $100 subscription in Game Pass, you don't just get all 22 in their defense. You also get all the games on demand, and you get the condensed games, which I haven't watched a condensed game yet this season. I've been watching the full-length games.
They're handy to have. I mean, if you want to get a lot of action in at the same time, you don't have time. I mean, it's nice to have the condensed games. You at least get an idea of what happens on the field.
Absolutely. The condensed games are very useful, especially if you have a tight schedule. You want to watch a game in 45 minutes. But when I have time, I like to watch the full game. I like to get a full feeling of what happened in each contest. Those games are not supposed to have commercials.
Yes. Exactly.
And it's been spotty. Sometimes there's commercials, sometimes there's not. Sometimes, like for the first half of a game, there's no commercials. Then in the second half, there's commercials or one commercial break. It starts 5 seconds, there's a commercial, and then it comes back and there's a play happening right away. There's no lead in from the commercial. It's really bad right now. The product has gone. I've had Game Pass since 2014.
Yeah.
It has gone way down in quality, way down, and the price is staying the same. It's really sad. What's that game that the NFL is clearly just thinks that we're going to sign up for this no matter what,
right?
And the product has gone downhill over the last 5 years.
Oh, it's awful. And another problem with all 22 is you can't. They give you the 10 seconds backwards, 10 seconds forward type deal. The tape starts jumping and leaping back and forth to get lousy film quality, and you can't even pick out your plays. You used to be able to pick out the plays you wanted to see. You can't do that anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember doing that.
So, and you're right. The full game rebroadcast is not supposed to have commercials. You're paying for the replay.
Right.
You're not supposed to be paying for the commercials.
Yeah.
And they're doing that. And it's just, it's terrible. It's sad. It's pathetic. And the NFL better get back on its game before they start asking everybody for the $100 for next year, because I'm not on board with it right now.
I'm not either. I'm not either. And I don't know. It might mean I don't get to watch my team because I go to if I go to a Falcons game, and that means I don't watch any other football all day, and I don't get to watch the Steelers. But $100 for commercials, and this is, I agree with you. It's not acceptable. It really isn't.
Yeah.
And they're at $1 billion business, plus $1 billion business. I don't understand why they can't pay an editor to do Sunday night, edit out all the commercials. They've been doing that for years. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh, we can't do that.
I'll take the game tape the next day if you want to edit out the commercials. That's
right.
fine.
Right.
I don't need it 2 hours after the game's completed.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I think that's the way it used to be too. It used to be it wasn't available until Monday morning or something. Right. All the games are available earlier, but they have commercials, and they have commercials for the whole week. And that's
take your time.
That's not what we're paying for.
Get it right.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking. And give us the coach's film. You're not giving us the coach's film anymore. That is not coach's film.
Yeah.
If that's the coach's film, then I know a lot of coaches around the NFL are going to be pissed off. Because that's not coach's film.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I can't look at a play and say, XO here, and he blacked out, and there's I'm not that kind of an expert where I can tell you everything that's happening on the field and chart every play. But you need a good idea of what's happening. Are the Falcons receivers getting downfield? Are they being asked to get downfield? You can't tell. It's hard to tell. You don't know. So, you could get some of these questions answered for you that maybe pop into your head, but, you don't have the tools to do it. So all I can say is Arthur Smith, I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know if it's the receivers not getting open, the receivers not running the routes, but their passing game is stuck in the mud because you cannot, air yards per completion, 3.3, 3.4. You cannot win an NFL game with those kind of numbers. It doesn't.
I want to ask you, with the film that you've been able to use, what have you seen from Kyle Pitts? I thought he was trending in the right direction after Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay game, he made some nice plays. He led the team in receiving that day. And then he made a couple of clutch plays at the end of the Giants game. But overall, it's just not enough volume for him. It's not enough. It's not enough targets. It's not enough. I don't think they're emphasizing him enough. But also, he might not be open either.
That's true. And again, that's kind of been hard to see downfield. He makes the catches.
Yeah.
I mean, you target him, he makes the catches. I don't know if Ryan is looking at him as much. I think maybe there's maybe a little disconnect between Ryan. Ryan may not trust him as much right now. And I think some of that goes back to the fact that they didn't see each other in the preseason. You got a new system, new coach, new offensive coaches, your number one draft choice that you want to really make sure he has good chemistry with your quarterback, your established future Hall of Fame quarterback, and you don't play him. Pitts gets one. Pitts.
He is playing. I'm looking at his snap counts. He's second through the first 3 games. He's second in snaps behind only Calvin Ridley among the pass catchers.
I know he's playing, but he didn't get enough time to play with Ryan in the preseason.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, he didn't play. Ryan didn't play at all, and Pitts, I think, had 1 snap in the preseason. So
right. So you got two guys who are not on the same page yet, I don't think. And that takes time. You got a guy coming out of college. Yeah, he's got huge potential. Everybody thinks the world of him, but you haven't given him and his quarterback time to establish any kind of relationship yet. Where Ryan is confident that Pitts is going to be where he wants him to be when he needs him.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you don't know, is Pitts running the right routes? Is Ryan looking for him and Pitts isn't there? Miss Maggie T is here.
She's checking in. Yep.
Hey,
great to have you.
Great to see you. I tell you, we're complaining all over the place. It's just terrible.
Well, I think you put a positive spin on it, though, is that it just takes time. It's just going to take time, because let's not complain about the preseason. That's in the past.
Right.
The fact that they didn't have the preseason, though, means that there is a learning curve in the regular season.
Yeah.
And that's true for a lot of teams around the league. And it's true for a lot of different rookies.
Yes, it's happening now because, nobody plays in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah. And the good news is Pitts has been on the field in the regular season. I mean, he played almost 84% of the team's snaps Sunday against the Giants. That's a high amount for a rookie. He's not getting the targets yet, but hopefully that comes. Hopefully the rapport comes. Hopefully he starts getting open a little bit more. Because this guy, I mean, he's so talented. I mean, he's fast, he's quick, he's big. He should be a great red zone target, although we can't really complain about the red zone offense. They converted last week, and that's why they won the game. And the red zone defense was why they won the game as well. So am I being positive enough now?
Yeah, you're being positive. You got it. That's all right.
But yeah, I want to see, I mean, I think it's helped. We're going to talk about Justin Fields in a minute. I think it helps Atlanta. I'm not saying Fields is a bust. I'm not saying that at all. But it helps that Justin Fields.
Oh, no, you can't say that right now.
I'm just saying it helps that he didn't have a great first start. It helped because Pitts has had a slow start as well. And Falcons fans would be clamoring, we should have had Fields. We should have drafted. I mean, they're clamoring for that anyway. But it would have been even louder if Fields goes out and beats Cleveland.
Yeah, you're right.
And so for Atlanta, it's a good thing that didn't happen. And I think hopefully, though, Pitts starts living up to expectations, just like we hope Fields does.
I mean, he's doing the work as far as blocking. He blocks very well and at the tight end position. So, I mean, he's got the skills. As I say, I think it's just a matter of him and Ryan developing that rapport together, where Ryan, if he's looking for a receiver, he's got to get rid of the ball. He knows where Fields is going to be. He had that with they played forever with Julio Jones. I mean, he didn't even have to look at where Julio Jones, Julio Jones and know where he was going to be on the football field. You missed that.
Yeah.
You missed that as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to develop this kind of rapport with Calvin Ridley too, and that hasn't been as easy, but it's getting there. Ridley's had 29 targets now. The thing is, Cordero Patterson had 16 targets. So not only is he, he's second on the team in receiving yardage, and second in rushing yardage to Mike Davis, which is the way it's supposed to be, but maybe not as much as he has been getting. I mean, again, they're leaning on Cordero Patterson, and you got other parts who were supposed to be a big part of this team, and we're not seeing that yet.
Yeah. Hey, Mad Mike, he just checked in with us as well.
Mad Mike.
My last Falcons question for you. Russell Gage is going to be out of this game. He's been ruled out, so that doesn't help the offense, and that's a guy that Ryan is familiar with. We're talking about him not being familiar with maybe Pitts and a couple of the other targets, although he shouldn't be familiar with Patterson. He's targeted him a lot. But Gage is going to be out.
Patterson's a big target. He's a big guy.
I mean, Pitts is a big guy.
I know.
But Gage is going to be out, and the reason why I'm not too optimistic about this matchup, I don't like the offensive line going up against Washington's front. Washington they have a really great defensive front. It's one of the best in the league. And I don't think you're going to see, we're clamoring for more deep passes. I don't think this is the week it's going to come.
It's not the week it's
because Arthur Smith is going to, I think he's very cognizant of the fact that he doesn't have a good offensive line, and his game plan is entirely based on, I got to get the ball out quick. I can't throw the ball on 3rd and long or Matt Ryan's going to get killed. And
that might be the reason why they're not, they're averaging so low in air yards per completion, per attempt, that he just doesn't have that kind of confidence. He's keeping his receivers in. He's trying to give Ryan more of an option in the short range, intermediate range than letting somebody try to get free behind the defense.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that's been a huge part of his game plan. I think it was very evident in the week 1 press conference that like he didn't want to throw 3rd and long. And he pointed to the end of the game where the Eagles got 3 sacks in the 4th quarter as the reason why. And hopefully Mike Davis has a nice game because if he doesn't, and if the Falcons defense isn't playing well, I don't want to say this is going to be ugly, but it could be a long day for Matt Ryan. I think he's going to get hit a lot tomorrow.
Yeah. Washington's defensive line hasn't been playing up to their standards so far this year. So
true.
I wouldn't worry, but you never know because you got 4 defensive linemen, all first-round draft picks. So they could emerge at any time.
Right.
Assuming he has time to look. Pitts, he's got to get to Pitts at some point. Somehow they got to get Pitts opened up down the seam. Because that's what Arthur Smith does. He gets his tight ends down the seam, gives them matchup problems with the linebacker, and that's where you can make up some yardage. And as reluctant as I know Smith is to throw the ball downfield and get Matt Ryan hurt and get him challenged, you have to. You cannot win football games if you don't.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to. You can be as conservative as you want, but it's not going to win you football games. You've got to get the ball downfield at some point. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all there is to it. I mean, yeah, you're not getting Matt Ryan hurt, but you're not winning it. Your offense isn't going anywhere. You're not winning anything. On their yardage, total yardage, the Falcons average 18.8 yards of offense for every point scored. Okay. That's quite a lot. If you multiply out that 18.8 times 7, 131.8 yards of offense, it's taking the Falcons to score the equivalent to 7 points.
That's a lot.
You're asking them to march the entire football field, then go back to the 30-yard line and do it again. That's not going to win you football games.
Yeah.
And so somehow he's got to get out of this thought process where I can't, and maybe it is, I can't get Ryan hurt. But at some point you have to.
At some point, I think you have to trust your guys.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how he's a new head coach, and I don't know if I've ever seen a coach have such a lack of trust in a position group. I think it's very clear he doesn't trust the offensive line.
No, he doesn't. And granted, there's a reason for that because they're not. Dimitroff did not leave him a lot, and considering what Dimitroff did as far as drafting, still did not leave them any stronger along the offensive line. But you still have to. If you got line problems, you could try to screen. You could do a few other things as far as scheme to try and get some things going for you. I'm sure Smith's playbook runs a little deeper than trying to seam routes or running backs or flat passes and that kind of thing. I'm sure he has more in his playbook than that. You gotta show a little something more. I would like to see, I'm hoping that at some point I see Ryan show some faith in Pitts.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I think that's what we need right now.
One more question from our listener, Ravon. What about Atlanta pass rush against Washington? Falcons had 2 sacks last week. Dante Fowler seems to be warming up a little bit. Had a strip sack the week before against Tampa Bay. And Grady Jarrett had a sack. I mean, Grady Jarrett's always great, but he had a sack last week as well.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett, boy, if he wasn't on that defensive line, it'd be rough. But it's nice to see Dante Fowler getting going. The thing is, again, the Falcons are not generating turnovers. All right, you need to either rush a quarterback enough that you can make him uncomfortable, or you got to bring him down. You got to sack him. They're 30th in negative pass plays, generating sacks or interceptions. Rushing yards per attempt, the Falcons are 22nd. So, you're getting the ball run against you. Now, fortunately for the Falcons, Washington, their defensive line is almost as bad as the Falcons are generating negative pass plays, which you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Very surprising. But Washington's defensive line hasn't been playing much better than the Falcons' defensive line so far this year, statistically. So you do have a little bit where you can make a play there. You can get, Washington's offensive line hasn't been great either, and they're also now protecting Tyler Heineke, and who, has now had 2 games behind the line, is doing a little bit better with it, but you got a quarterback that you can really make some progress against. If you can rush them, you can make some stuff happen for your offense. You can give your offense some nice field position. You got to really. This is an opportunity for the Falcons to be able to play the football team right now. Their defensive rush has not been good, and they're playing Tyler Heineke, who has played decent, but has been a career backup quarterback for a reason. So, if Fowler and Grady Jarrett can generate that kind of pass rush again, I think they can make some things happen. They got to make some turnovers. They got to generate turnovers somewhere here.
They got 1 turnover last week. Isaiah Oliver recovered the fumble. I think he also forced it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oliver played really well last week and got that fumble.
Oliver's been playing very well as the nickel defensive back, in the slot.
Yeah, he has. That should have been points. That should have turned into points. His turnover, his takeaway right before halftime, and the Falcons did not take advantage of that opportunity. Matt Ryan fumbled it back.
Right, and that's another problem. That's why their yards per point is so high, because when you get a short field, when you get these advantages with turnovers,
you don't have to move the ball to score.
You got to move the ball. You got to drive it in.
Yeah,
you have got to score. You cannot count on Younghoe Koo every week. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
He cannot be the most valuable player on your offense. So that's the thing. You get these turnovers, you've got to put them in. You've got to take advantage of them. And that's the other weakness for the Falcons. That's why they're not, they're generating all these yards, but not scoring points with it. And that's the thing. Everybody talks about yards. Yards doesn't mean anything. Yards does not go on the scoreboard. Points go on the scoreboard. You can talk about all the yards that the Falcons offense is generating, and I think they're decent as far as yardage, but they're not generating points. Not putting points on the board.
I didn't think they were decent last week at producing yards. They didn't reach 300 yards. The Giants outgained them. So, I mean, they had more yards, and they probably had garbage yards in week 1, and in week 2, the offense got going in the second half. They got some yards there, but I see what you're saying. I think you're right, and the turnovers, not getting the takeaways is part of that. That you have to go the whole length of the field every single time, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot that hopefully. I don't know if this week we're going to see them go downfield, but we want to see them go downfield more. And so what is the spread in the Falcons matchup?
The spread is the football team is favored by 1.5 points.
Okay. I thought it was very close. Let's go into Nostradamus predicts now. Is the Falcons? Wow. Is the Falcons one of your matchups you're looking at? Where you're going in week 4? They're not.
I can't. I just can't. I can't until I see something more consistent out of them. Now, again, I can't go with the Washington football team either because I haven't seen enough consistency out of them. I don't know. That's the problem. And sometimes you don't get anything established. That's why sometimes my picks against the spread are better once you get into week 7 or 8. Because then you really start to see everything that an offense is doing. You're not guessing anymore.
Right.
But
I find it funny that, when you're watching these games already in week 3, they're putting up where the team ranks in offense and defense after 2 games. It's like, I really don't care where they rank.
It doesn't matter. I mean, because you take a look at the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, they ranked terrible on defense after, 2 games.
Right.
Because they were terrible first game against the.
They were ranked terrible on offense too after 2 games.
You look at that. You can't make a lot of judgments. You get a decent idea, but you do have to look at who a team has played. As you get farther into the season, you can start getting a better idea of where a team sits statistically, and you can say, okay, this is kind of what we can expect from them in this game, playing against that defense playing against this offense.
Right.
By the way, the Saints are second to last in the NFL in yards per offense.
Okay.
Second to last. They're 31st in total yards.
Yeah.
They're 16th in points. That's taking your yardage, taking everything available to you and turning them into points. The Saints take their opportunities and turn them into points. Better than almost any team in the NFL right now. And that's the kind of thing you're looking at. That's why I say, yards don't matter. Points is where you get points. They put the points on the scoreboard. It's not, you don't win a game by 10 points and 50 yards. It doesn't work that way. They don't care how much time you've had the ball. They don't care how many yards you've gained with the ball. All they care about is the points that go up on the scoreboard. So, and that's just saying that's giving you an idea of the big difference between gaining yards on offense and actually turning those yards into points. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit. But is it making sense to you? Am I at least making sense to you?
Yeah. No, of course, yes.
Because then hopefully I'm not.
I'm just salivating at my mouth. I want to hear your picks.
Okay. All right. Here's the picks. You know something? I am looking at that Washington Falcons game for one reason.
Okay.
The over-under is 48. That means that the expected point total, according to the bookmakers, is 48 points. Bet the under.
Okay.
I don't think either of these teams are going to generate 48 points together. Bet the under. That's my first pick. That's
all right.
One I'm going to
like that. I like that pick. I think it's going to be a defensive battle as well.
Yeah. So take the under. Second pick. The New Orleans Saints are hosting the New York Giants. The Falcons' opposition for last week. Saints are favored by 7 points. The Saints are playing their first game of the season at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
It's amazing. We're in October and it's the home opener.
Yeah, well, they played their home opener in Jacksonville. That's why.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay.
So that is a team. They are going to be wound up. That stadium is going to be lit.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, modern term, lit.
Wow, that's
pretty
big
good.
word for you. Yeah,
I'm not saying like it's going to be groovy or anything else. No, that place is going to be lit. Anything worse than a man of trying to sound hip and whatever. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
So you're going with the Saints because
Saints.
Their stadium's going to be lit.
And another thing is they are the best in the league at turning yardage into points. They are number 1. They are number 2 in preventing offenses from turning yards into points. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They average on defense, you got to gain 21.8 yards on their defense to score 1 point. That's 140 yards of offense to score against the Saints defense. Score a touchdown. It's ridiculous. The Saints are solid on offense and defense. They're not the best, but they are solid. And the Giants just have all kinds of problems. I think the Giants love to find ways to lose games.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones has played better the last 2 weeks, and they're still losing.
Jones has actually been fairly good. Yeah, I mean, Jones looks like he might be an NFL quarterback, which surprises me going into this season because I don't think either of us expected that.
Right. No, I didn't either. No.
And sorry, Dave, got to lay this one on you. Green Bay Packers are favored by 6.5 points over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Dave, this might be the end of Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm starting to think the end of Ben Roethlisberger should have been in January.
Yeah.
But I mean, in his defense, I was clamoring for him to come back. So I'm not going to criticize the Steelers for that decision. But he's not the only problem. There's a lot of problems on the offense.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of problems on that offense. But I think that's a pretty good bet, picking the Packers to beat them by a touchdown.
Not having T.J. Watt on defense has really hurt that game. Highsmith has been hurt.
Right. Watt is supposed to play, though, which will make a big difference.
Okay. That's going to make a huge difference. Yeah. Highsmith's going to play.
I think he's been practicing. I'd have to double check that. I think he is going to play.
But even on
offense, that's on offense that they're going to be missing, I believe Chase Claypool will not play.
Okay.
And that's a loss. He is a guy they like to get the ball to in a lot of different ways. End arounds, passes downfield. He's really their deep target downfield. And they don't throw the ball downfield very much. So Claypool not being there, it hinders an already slow offense, struggling offense.
And that's it. Right, exactly. And despite the fact that, they got Najee Harris, positive rookie running back, they're 32nd in the NFL in rushing yards per attempt, 3.2 yards per attempt.
So it's the offensive line. I mean, it's completely brand new.
Why they did that, I don't get it. It wasn't offensive line. You could have 5 individual Pro Bowlers on your offensive line, but not perform because they don't know how to work together.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. Your offensive line, if they don't know how to work together, forget it.
It wasn't entirely by choice. I think there were salary cap problems. 2 guys retired. So there's 2 guys that just, left and didn't go anywhere else. And one of those guys, David Castro, he retired late. I think he retired in July. Okay. So, I mean, he was supposed to be on the team and then he retired. So, and he was their best offensive lineman last year. So to lose him was really, and that late in the season, in the off season, to lose him was really tough.
Right. But the thing is, you can take advantage of the Packers on defense. You can take advantage of their defense, but I don't think the Steelers can. I don't think they have the offense to be able to do it. You can move the ball on the Packers. You can score on the Packers. But the way Pittsburgh's looking and the way that they're stacking up as the season goes on, Roethlisberger's 28th in the NFL in passer rating. That's just, how do you do that? That's just territory that we never expected to see Ben Roethlisberger occupy.
Yeah.
And I think unless they can pick up against the vulnerable Green Bay Packers defense, and there's always a chance that they do, but I'd say take the Packers by the 6.5. So, we got the Saints -7, the Packers minus the 6.5, and take the under on the football team versus Falcons, because it's going to be, I guess, for whatever you want to call it, the defensive struggle, or non-offensive struggle.
Is that not what you call it?
Well,
did I label it wrong?
I don't know. Is it a lack of offense? Is that called the defensive struggle?
That is confusing, yeah, because the defenses aren't struggling. The defenses are playing well. Right. I guess it's an offensive struggle.
So, yeah, take those three. That's your Nostradamus predicts for this week.
I like all those picks. And how dare you pick against the Broncos last week? At home, Shannon and I were at the game. It was fantastic. That was a great stadium. And I have been to I think the last 2 NFL games I've been to as a fan were shutouts, which is really hard to believe because there are very few shutouts in the league today.
Yes. Right.
I was at Lambeau Field in 2018 and they shut out Buffalo, and then Mile High last weekend, and Denver shut out the Jets.
Yep. Yeah, I got caught in almost an overthink, but the way it was looking is, I will get to that in a minute, Marcel. The Broncos point spread kept going up from the start. These, a lot of teams are jumping on the Broncos and betting up, because the more money you put on a team, they're going to they want to offset some of those bets. They want to get some bets on the Jets. But all the money was coming in on the Broncos. At some point, it looked like the Broncos were being bet too high. Giving the Broncos 10.5 points, as good as they had played, just against anybody, didn't make sense to me. It didn't work for me.
I understand your logic, yeah. But I guess if I have any take on the Broncos at this point, I don't know if they're a playoff team. I don't know if they're even a good team, but they can take care of the bad teams. They've shown that in the first 3 weeks.
Vic Fangio's got that defense going like nobody's business.
And Teddy Bridgewater is he's a game manager.
He's been playing well. Yeah,
he's playing well. He's playing very well. Yeah.
So, but Vic Fangio, you knew that defense was going to be on. But I couldn't, in my mind, say that I would give the Broncos a two-score spread and expect them to cover it. And I got bit. That it happens.
You just underestimated how bad the Jets are. It's okay.
Yeah, I really did. I thought the Jets might put at least a few points on the board, and they didn't. So, but it seemed more of a case where the Broncos kept getting bet up too high.
Yeah.
Where the public was pushing the point spread too high, and that you might have an opportunity there. But that just wasn't the case. But that's what happens sometimes early in the season, when you don't have all of your patterns laid out, where you don't have everything established, where you think maybe, because the Jets did put up 2 touchdowns on the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Panthers are one of the best defenses in the league. So, looking at that, you're like, well, the Jets are bad, but are they really that? Well, yes, they're really that bad.
They really are that bad.
They really are that bad.
I want to still get to the rookie quarterbacks. We started talking about the Jets.
Marcel wanted Panthers versus Cowboys. I just wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, give us that pick, and then let's talk some rookie QBs.
Panthers have one of the best defenses in the league. Dak Prescott is playing like a Pro Bowl quarterback. Dallas Cowboys are favored at home by 4.5 points. As good as the Panthers have been, they don't have Christian McCaffrey this week. As good as they've been at quarterback.
Sam Darnold.
Huh?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. As good as Sam Darnold's been this year, it's been against some lesser competition. They're stepping up in competition this week.
Yeah.
I say take the Cowboys minus the 4.5. So that's what you want to go with that.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good. Well, we already discussed hitting upon Zach Wilson a little bit, Justin Fields. I mean, there's a trend certainly around the league right now. There was another big rookie draft class for quarterbacks. It seems like we get one every year now. But there were high expectations for these guys. Three quarterbacks going in the top 3, and then Justin Fields, Mac Jones going in the top 20. And between them, they have one win. Mac Jones beating he beat the Jets. He beat Zach Wilson in week 2. So what have you seen from the rookie quarterbacks? So is this just a case of they're on bad teams? I think that's a big part of it. But
big part of it.
What have you seen from the rookie QBs through 3 games? And I guess Trevor Lawrence a 4th game.
Yeah, I think Zach Wilson ended up in a bad situation. He might be good, he might be bad. I don't know. I think it's too early to tell whether he's a bust or not. And I know a lot of people are trying to label him a bust right now, but he's in a bad situation. That Jet situation is terrible. It's going to take them forever, 2 or 3 years to try and build out of the hole that they were left in. And even with Robert Saleh as their head coach, it's going to take a while.
I agree. Could he be, Aikman went through a really rough rookie season. Peyton Manning did. Can he be like them? Or is he in a situation that he's just doomed with the Jets?
Well, he's also, I was watching Sunday Ticket where you have the 4 games on the screen at the same time last week. It seems like he was getting a lot of drops too. He's not getting any help from his wide receivers when he does hit them. I think he's capable of being a quality quarterback. I don't know if he will be. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a wash. I don't think – I can't see where the Jets are going to be able to make anything happen with him for this year. He's going to struggle. That might look better in December than it looks now. But right now, he's just getting beat up. It's rough. It's tough to see.
How about with Trevor Lawrence? I mean, he did do some positive things on Thursday night. Didn't turn the ball over. Had 7 interceptions in the first 3 games, but they still lost. And I think that's why Urban Meyer was so distraught in his post-game press conference because I think he's just trying to sell his team. Just don't turn it over and we'll win. They did that and they lost still.
I still got my Justin Fields rant coming on those 2.
Oh, yeah. I'm saving that for last because I know that might be like 20 minutes.
Trevor Lawrence played a lot better. One of the problems I had with I wrote about it. If you go to footballfromatozz.com, my write-up on the Thursday night game, I did have the Bengals covering the 7.5-point spread for a couple of reasons. Trevor Lawrence, he's not facing a lot of pressure that some other quarterbacks are facing. I think he was like 21st in the league. He's getting some decent protection. His accuracy, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league for accuracy so far this season. And that's more on coaching and on and his ability to get used to the speed of the NFL game.
Yeah.
But he did look like he made a step last week when leading the Jaguars to that 14-0 first half lead. What I get about Urban Meyer is Urban Meyer threw Lawrence under the bus for that goal line play.
Yeah, he did.
You know,
He did.
this is your rookie quarterback. This is the guy that is going to determine whether or not you got a job next year. And you're throwing your rookie quarterback under the ground because he didn't get the ball out to Robinson. And
he should have. Meyer's absolutely right. Yeah, he should have pitched it.
He should have. Yeah. But this is not college. All right, you don't throw your players under the bus. You're not the king of Jacksonville anymore, or you're not the king of Florida. You're not the king of Ohio, because of Ohio State. You aren't the guy anymore. It's not all about you. So kind of scale that back a little bit, Urban, because your man did play a very good first half, put you in position to win. Actually tied the game back up, and as I say, he put you in a position to win, and that was some more things out of Trevor Lawrence than I thought we were going to see in that game.
They shouldn't have even gone for that fourth down. I know they were at the 1 yard line, but you're up 14-0 with a minute to go in the first half on the road, and you're 0-3. You take the field goal and you go up by 3 scores.
Yeah, everybody is taking the wrong message from analytics. If you go for fourth down and miss, odds are if your defense is halfway decent, you're going to get good field position back, because you're going to still have them deep in their end zone.
Great point. Yes.
And you're going to get the ball back with good field position. But if you're not going to get the ball back, then the analytics don't make sense. Then you have to get the field goal.
There was 1 minute left in the half. They weren't going to get the ball back. So I'll go for it and then get good field position on the next possession. That was not a factor.
No.
If it was 10-0, I would have been fine with Meyer saying, well, it doesn't make that big of a difference being up 10-0 or 13-0. But they were up 14-0. They had the opportunity to go up 3 scores at halftime.
Yeah, exactly.
You do that every single time.
You change the complexion of the game by going up 3 scores at the half.
Yeah.
Maybe the Bengals don't come out. The Bengals came out aggressive.
Right. Maybe they don't come out as aggressive because they're down 17.
And maybe they're thinking about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead,
they were feeling a little bit better about themselves. Oh, we got to stop at half. We've played really badly, but we're only down by 2 touchdowns.
Right. They came out the second half a whole different team.
Yeah. And I think a big part of why was that fourth down stop.
Right.
And we talked about it a few weeks ago that, these fourth down plays that are becoming so popular are determining the outcomes of these games as much as takeaways, as much as yardage. It's really, and I guess if that's the trend, then we're just going to keep talking about, that, well, if you make the fourth down, you win. If you don't make the fourth down, you lose. But I think you got to kick the field goal there. The analytics tell you if you go up by 3 scores, your chance of winning goes way up. That's what the analytics tell you.
Well, that's the thing. You gave the Bengals a win before the half. You gave them a win. You gave them something to pump themselves up. Now they're in the locker room saying, yeah, we're only 2 touchdowns down in this, and we can score 2 touchdowns down with, Burrow could throw for 2 touchdown passes with a blindfold on. That's what they're thinking when they're in the locker room, instead of thinking, my God, we got to score 3 times just to get back in this game.
Right.
It makes a difference. Yes.
Yeah. We'll save Mac Jones and Trey Lance for another time. Let's hear your rant about Justin Fields. I didn't get to see a lot of that game, but I saw his stat line. Not Justin Fields' fault, and I've got a feeling that you feel the same way that I do. That Matt Nagy just did a terrible job of trying to come up with a game plan specific for Justin Fields. It looked like he was using the same game plan he would have been using with Andy Dalton back there.
Yes.
Have I summed it up?
Yes. Yes. You summed it up. What does that mean?
Bad timing. I saw Georgia was up by 7. Have they scored again?
Okay. Well.
Whoa. Yeah, it's 21-0 Georgia.
Wow.
21-0 Georgia. 13 minutes left in the first half. That's great. Go Dogs.
I know somewhere Matt Nagy, and this is what we talked about before, being too smart for the room. Thinking my system is my way, and instead of
it's not gonna that probably works in the NFL 30 years ago,
right?
But not now, no, because the college game has changed, and you're only getting your players from college. And why are you going to ask a college quarterback who's used to doing things in a college offense? You can ask him to do some NFL prototype pro offense things after he's learned them, but capitalize on what he does well.
Right.
You should do that for all of your players, not just quarterback, but capitalize on what they do well.
And that's the thing. Nagy did not give him one chance to look good in this game. Again, you're right. Through the same plays that if Andy Dalton were in the game, they would have seen the same plays. And, Justin Fields has a different skill set. Yes, Justin Fields can throw out of the pocket. He has. Okay, he can hit players out of the pocket.
But that's not his. That's not his. Well, I don't want to say that's not his strength, but he does other things well too.
He can do other things well. I'm sure in that large, voluminous, elegantly, playbook of elegantly designed plays that Nagy has, that he couldn't come up with about 10 plays that he couldn't put into the game plan to take advantage of Justin Fields' strengths.
Yeah.
Instead of leaving Fields back there 5 to 7 step drops on every drop, no fast drops, no max protections. At no time did he have max protection. One sack, Myles Garrett, Jason Peters tries to cut him, and Garrett just skips past him and chases downfield. No screen passes. If your offensive line's having problems, can't you slow down the rush a little bit by trying to screen it? Not one screen pass. Not one designed rollout. And Myles Garrett said later on after the game that they thought it was hilarious. The Browns defense thought it was hilarious that the Bears were trying to do something different because they knew what the Bears were going to do.
Yeah.
And now Matt Nagy has spent this week dithering between whether he's going to start Andy Dalton with his injured knee, and he can't move, and he's been limited all week, or start Justin Fields, who does not have an injured hand, even as much as Matt Nagy tried to emphasize that Fields injured his right hand late in the fourth quarter. No, he did not have an injured hand. And he's ready to start. But again, you're trying to create some confusion in Detroit's head. Well, Detroit knows that you're going to call the same plays no matter which quarterback you got out there.
That's a good point. It doesn't matter.
Because you put Fields out there doesn't mean you're going to run different plays.
Yeah. That is just mind-boggling, and that's a complete mess. A complete mess that Nagy's created for himself. You think the Baltimore Ravens ran the same offense when they went from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson?
We discussed this. Yes, exactly. They changed their offense completely.
The Eagles
out one playbook and went the other playbook.
The Eagles changed their offense when they went from Carson Wentz to Nick Foles.
Yes. And
that wasn't as big of a change. But Andy Dalton to Justin Fields, huge difference.
Huge difference. But, as I say, and you're dropping him back 5 to 7 steps. He's under pressure before he even gets back there. He had 0.78 seconds of time before the rush started, before he started feeling pressure. He can't do anything with that. And this is a rookie.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where to look at.
Yeah.
And as I say, you're not doing any max protect. Send 2 guys, put everybody in protection, 2 receivers, and let's see what he can do with that. The Bears brought in speed at receiver this year to take advantage of Fields' arm and the fact that Dalton can throw deep too. They bring these guys in to try and extend the field. They're not doing anything with them. You can't run those guys deep because Fields is just getting buried. I felt terrible for the kid.
Yeah, I know. I felt bad for him too. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, I've been reading through a lot of things this week, a lot of people not looking at the fact that Fields didn't have a chance.
I
They're
think a lot
like,
of people have
oh,
been looking
Fields
at
is
that.
your rookie quarterback. Your rookie quarterbacks are struggling, and he's struggling because he's a rookie quarterback. Yeah, he struggled. He wasn't fully ready to look at some of the things the Browns showed him.
But he wasn't put in a position to succeed.
Was not put in a position to succeed at any point in that game.
Right.
And I doubt that changes if he starts this week.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Bears fans have seen through Nagy because it is united. Bears fans are just united about the fact that Nagy did not do anything. It was so obvious. As a matter of fact, a couple of writers that I follow, one of them said, if you're looking to sabotage his start so you could put Andy Dalton back in a quarterback, this is the way to do it. It's terrible. Terrible. Awful coach. I'm sick of this guy. As I said, I hate guys who think they're smarter than the room.
Yeah.
You're not smarter than the room. All right. The NFL is littered with corpses of guys who thought they were smarter than the room. That's the way it is. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're playing the Lions, who on paper are not a very good team.
Right.
But Detroit has been playing, a couple teams tough to begin the season, not giving up in games either when they're getting behind. So
Detroit really, I think, gave the Ravens everything they could want last weekend.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if they didn't get screwed on the delay of game call and then get screwed on the field goal attempt because that was an untimed field goal attempt.
Right.
I mean,
you could also say if the Ravens didn't have Justin Tucker, or if that, that was this close to being short, that field goal. So,
but that fourth down play should have been called back.
It should have been
because of the delayed game, and it's just ridiculous how. And I read apparently that Dan Campbell was told that, well, delay of game is more of a subjective thing. The league told him that. Seriously, the clock goes to 0, and the ball gets snapped. That's not subjective.
There's always a delay. It's not, the delay of game isn't going to be called right when it's at 0. But that play was
Aaron
at 0.
Rodgers has taken advantage of that for years.
But that clock was at 0 for probably 2 seconds.
2 seconds, minimum.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that was a delay of game. That was a delay of game.
Yes, it was.
That was missed. So.
Oh, it was terrible. Lions got job bad. So I don't know how to pick this Bears game because the Bears should win. But the psyche on that team right now, I don't know. I don't know if they can. Their defense kept the Browns off the scoreboard for 3 quarters. Just destroyed Baker Mayfield, did everything they could. The Bears defense tried to win that game as much as they could. And they were exhausted by the fourth quarter. They were just gassed. They had nothing left.
Yeah.
That's why the score, kind of, grew out of proportion at that point. Fourth quarter, the Bears defense had nothing left. And it might be the case this week too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be an exciting week 4. That's all we've got for today's show. Home game tomorrow for the Falcons. I'll be there. Check out my content at si.com/NFL/Falcons. And of course, subscribe and like our YouTube channel. We're on Facebook as well, Atlanta Sports Unlimited, all Georgia sports. Looks like Georgia's out to a big first half lead. That's great. Go Dogs the rest of today, beating number 8 Arkansas. And we'll be back next Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep. Look forward to it. Have a great week.